This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. If you're looking for cards in the US, look no further as you can use the promo code MTGMUDSTA to get you 5% off anything on the site. Or if you're in Canada like me, you can use the same promo code at Multizone to get 10% off your orders of singles. If cards aren't what you're looking for, Original Magic Art has playmats, tokens, and sweet art that you can use that same promo code to help you get 5% off your order there. If you're looking to bling out your cards, using Alter Sleeves is a great way to do so, and you can click the affiliate link in my About section to help out the channel as you make an order. And if you just want to help out the channel, you can always consider becoming a patron for as little as $1 a month and join the generic Goblin Gang.
Hey gang, and a happy holidays to you if you're celebrating. If not, I hope you have a great Saturday, and if you're working, I hope your shift goes fast. Today's game is a bit special since these decks we're playing were provided to us by a really nice guy who was at the Face Tour in Montreal in 2021. Plus the fact that I've teamed up with Cardboard Command, we are playing some holiday themed decks, and I've been given Freyalise Llanowar's Fury to represent Santa's Elves. I keep Elvish Clancaller, Mosswort Bridge, Izuri, Growing Rites of Itlimoc, Viridian Zealot, Elvish Mystic, and a Reclamation Sage. Colin is playing Zedruu the Greathearted, who's meant to represent Santa, and he keeps a Crawl Space, Bazaar Trader, Faith's Fetters, Curse of Opulence, Reigns of Power, Snow-Covered Mountain, and Temple of Triumph. Lucas is playing Saffi Eriksdotter, who's meant to represent the kids on Christmas, and he keeps a Snow-Covered Plains, a Sun-Petal Grove, a Tranquil Thicket, Traverse the Uvenwald, Rime Tender, Renegade Rallier, and a Sylvan Reclamation. Last but not least, John is playing Sai Master Thopterist, who's the Toy Maker, and he keeps 2 Snow-Covered Islands, Arkham's Astrolabe, Artificer's Intuition, Worn Power Stone, and a Museo Visionary Architect. I should warn you, these decks have also been forcibly whiteboarded, which initially was triggering to me, but I got more into it as we played the game. I win the die roll and start us off. I draw and play a Mosswort Bridge, which comes in tapped, and hide away one of my top 4 cards. Colin draws and plays a tapped Temple of Triumph, scrying 1 and bottoming it before passing to Lucas. Lucas also plays a tapped land with a Sun-Petal Grove and passes to John. John draws and plays a Snow-Covered Island into an Arkham's Astrolabe. He draws from it entering the battlefield and passes to me. I cast the Llanowar Elves and then play a Wirewood Lodge and end my turn. Colin draws and plays a Snow-Covered Mountain and then taps 2 for Bazaar Trader. Lucas draws and plays a Snow-Covered Plains and casts a Rime Tender. With nothing else, he passes to John. John plays a Mishra's Factory and then casts an Artificer's Intuition, passing. I draw and play a Snow-Covered Forest, tapping it for an Elvish Mystic, and then cast a Growing Rites of Itlimoc. I reveal a Llanowar Tribe off the top 4 and pass turn. Colin casts a Curse of Opulence and puts it onto John. Moving to combat, he swings at him and gets a gold token off the curse. With nothing else, he passes. Lucas draws and plays another Snow-Covered Plains and casts Traverse the Uvenwald and goes to find a Snow-Covered Forest. Moving to combat, he swings the Rime Tender at John for another 2 and gives himself and Colin a gold token. He then uses the gold to help cast his commander, Saffi, and passes to John. John plays a Snow-Covered Island and casts his own commander as well, and brings out Sai before passing to me. I draw and play a Snow-Covered Forest, and then cast my commander, Freyalise. I uptick her when she resolves to make an Elf Druid token, and pass to Colin. Colin draws but is missing a land, and moves to combat. He swings the Bazaar Trader at John to get a gold, but it gets eaten by Sai. Unfortunately though, he has nothing to do with that gold, and passes. Lucas plays a Snow-Covered Forest, presumably the one he found, and makes 5 mana using the Rime Tender to help to cast a Sylvan Reclamation, exiling Itlimoc and the Artificer's Intuition. In combat, he swings Saffi at Freyalise for 2, which I let happen, and Lucas passes. John draws and plays a Snow-Covered Island. he casts his Swiftfoot Boots and makes a Thopter from Sai, and then equips Sai with some nice warm boots and passes to me. I cast an Elvish Clan Caller and then uptick Freyalise to make another elf token. I then bring out a Reclamation Sage, blowing up the Swiftfoot Boots. And once that's done, activate Mosswort Bridge, casting a Ren Runs Pack Hunter. I champion onto a Llanowar Elves and pass to Colin. Colin draws, but sadly it's not a land. He cracks 2 of his gold to help cast Zedruu and passes. Lucas draws and plays an Evolving Wilds, and then cycles Tranquil Thicket. He then makes 4 mana, using the Rhyme Tender to help, and casts Shalai, Voice of Plenty. He then sacrifices the Wilds to go and find a Snow-Covered Plains, and passes. John has a Snow-Covered Island for turn, and he casts a tapped Worn Power Stone, making a Thopter, and passing. I cast the Llanowar tribe I'd revealed earlier, and uptick Freyalise to make another elf token. Moving to combat, the elves revolt against Santa, and I swing 9 at Colin.
Colin blocks the Reclamation Sage with Zedruu, and takes the rest of his damage to his face.
Post-combat, I play an Elvish Visionary to draw a card and pass. Colin has a Howling Mine in his main phase, still not hitting a land. And moving to combat, Zedruu goes at John once more to make a gold. In the Season of Giving, John decides to just take the hit, and Colin passes turn. Lucas draws 2 from a Howling Mine, and then plays a Fortified Village, revealing a forest from hand so it comes in untapped. He casts a Greater Good, and moves to combat. He swings Shalai at Freyalise for 3 to keep her from ulting. After combat, Lucas sacrifices Saffi to target Shalai, and then sacrifices Shalai to Greater Good, drawing 3 and discarding 3. Lucas then casts a Renegade Rallier, and returns Saffi to the battlefield from his graveyard, and passes. John draws 2, and plays a Tomb of the Spirit Dragon as his land for turn, and then casts a Treasure Map, making another Thopter. He then casts a Trading Post as well, making another Thopter, and moves to combat. He swings at Freyalise with 2 Thopters, and I can't stop them, and with nothing else, he passes to me. I draw my 2, and play a Snow-Covered Forest for turn. I then cast a Morph creature, which unfortunately, despite the rule, can't actually be a Willbender this time. I then cast a Zuri Renegade Leader, and uptick Freyalise for another elf token. I then go to combat, swinging my Packmaster at John, and make a gold token with Colin. He blocks with a Thopter token, and then sacrifices it to the Trading Post to return Swiftfoot Boots to his hand. With nothing else, I pass turn. Colin finally draws a land from his 2, and moves to combat, swinging Zedruu at John, and making a gold token. John just takes the hit, and in his post-combat main phase, Colin casts a Windborn Muse and passes. Lucas draws 2 and plays a Canopy Vista for turn. He then plays a Veteran Explorer and then an Avacyn's Pilgrim. Moving to combat, he swings Shalai at me for 3. With nothing else, he passes to John. At the end of Lucas's turn, John scries 1 with the Treasure Map and keeps it on top before drawing 2 as he moves to his turn. He casts a Treasure Keeper in his main phase and makes another Thopter. He then recasts the Swiftfoot Boots again, making another Thopter, and then equips the boots to Sai and passes to me. I draw my 2 and cast Dwynnin, Giltleaf Dean. I then make mana with the Llanowar Tribe and untap it with the Wirewood Lodge to flip up a Tribal Force Mage, giving my elves +2/+2 and trample until the end of turn. I still have enough mana to activate a Zuri to give all of my elves +3/+3, and moving to combat, I swing the whole team at John. In the Christmas spirit though, Lucas saves him by casting a Moment's Peace to fog combat. After the least effective combat ever, I downtick Freyalise to destroy Trading Post, which John responds to by activating it and sacrificing itself to draw a card. With nothing else, I pass to Colin. Colin draws his 2, one of which is a snow-covered island which he plays. He then casts a crawl space to keep the Elven Revolt at bay, and Colin passes. Lucas draws 2 and casts an Angelic Renewal. After considering an attack, he decides against it and passes. John draws his 2 and also plays a snow-covered island. He then casts a Memnite, making a Thopter token, and then casts Museo, Visionary Architect. Once the legendary creature is resolved, he equips it with the Swiftfoot Boots. John then activates Museo to look at his top 4, and he puts a Thopter assembly onto the battlefield. In combat, he swings the Treasure Keeper and a Thopter at Freyalise, and I let her go to the command zone as she gets taken out. With nothing else, John passes. I draw 2 for my turn, and recast Freyalise again, down-ticking her to destroy the crawl space. I then cast a Sword of the Anime, and equip it to Dwynnin. Moving to combat, I swing Dwynnin at Colin, paying for the Windborn Muse tax, and I go and find a basic, and he takes 5. After that, I pass to Colin. Colin draws, and casts Reigns of Power, exchanging boards with me. He uses his gold and some elves to activate Zedruu twice, and moves to combat. He swings Lethal at John the Toymaker, and the remaining at Lucas, gaining 9 life off the Dwynnin triggers from seeing elves attacking. Lucas blocks what he can, stopping 12 of the damage from the Rensren Packmaster, and before damage is dealt, sacrifices the Renegade Rallier and Shalai to greater good to draw 3 and discard 3 twice. Moving to damage, Lucas then takes 19, and John dies completely. We also get an on-death trigger from the Veteran Explorer dying, and go to find 2 basic lands. At the end of Colin's turn, Lucas casts Faith's Reward and returns all the creatures that died to his board, and Colin and I swap our boards back. Lucas draws 2 and moves to combat. He swings at me for 11, which I take. After combat, he casts Bruna the Fading Light, which on cast, reanimates a Restoration Angel, which then flickers the Renegade Rallier. In response to this, Lucas sacrifices Saffi to greater good, drawing 2 and discarding 3, and then brings her back at the end of turn, and passes to me. I draw and cast Rishkar's Expertise, drawing 6 cards, and putting in a Fauna Shaman for my free spell. Moving to combat, I swing everything at Lucas. This prompts him to flashback's Moment Peace to Fog again, and in his post-combat main phase, I cast a Viridian Zealot and a Sylvan Advocate, and pass to Colin. Colin draws 2, but with nothing to play, discards down to hand size, and passes to Lucas. At the end of Colin's turn, Lucas sacrifices Saffi and targets Bruna, then sacrifices Bruna to greater good, drawing 5 and then discarding. He also sacrifices the Angelic Renewal to bring back Saffi before going to his turn. He draws 2, and then casts Thragtusk in his main phase, gaining 5. Once that's done, Sigarda Heron's Grace comes in as well. Moving to combat, he swings at me for 11 in the air, which I take. Lucas then passes, and at his end step, Colin decides to be in the spirit of giving, and donates his Windborn Muse and Howling Mind to me, and with no way to stop my attacks, I'm able to swing on my next turn and take the win.
Game review time, so big thanks to Peter who gave us these decks, and we picked them at random as to be fair as to who got what. It seemed like the Elf deck was a little bit stronger than the rest of them, although I will say that John playing the Psy deck is probably a close second. Colin's Zedruu deck certainly seemed to be more focused around the idea of giving gifts, and I'm wondering if there were some bad presents in there that he could have given away later on, but just didn't draw into. As for Lucas's deck, there also seemed to be a bit of an Angel Tribal sub-theme to it, not to mention the typical Reanimator package that Saffi tends to have. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Multizone, Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.